In order to work as safely and effectively as possible, you need to plan your felling. Start by checking the applicable local regulations where you plan to fell. The first thing to consider is having somebody with you. Never go out into the forest by yourself. Have a mobile phone with you if possible, so you can quickly call for help if something should happen. The first step is to decide the direction of the fall. If a tree is leaning, or if its branches are hanging to one side, the simplest way is to fell the tree in that direction. If it is windy, you will need to take the wind direction into account when you plan your felling. Avoid trees close to power lines, buildings, and busy roads. If there are other people in the vicinity, they must be at a safe distance equivalent to at least 2 tree lengths. Clear the ground around the tree to ensure you can easily get at the trunk. When the tree falls, you need to move a few meters diagonally back. Consequently, you must also clear your path of retreat behind the tree. Saw off all lower branches that might be in the way, but remember never to saw higher than shoulder height. Once again, do not stand straight behind the saw. Bear in mind the risk of kickback and use the trunk as a barrier between you and the saw. In order to fell the tree in the right direction, we adopt the technique known as directional felling. This means that you saw to a hinge, a holding strip, that forces the tree to fall in the chosen direction. To create this hinge, you start by sawing a triangular piece from the trunk at the same side as the tree is to fall. This is called the directional notch. The next cut, the felling cut, is sawn from the opposite side. You do not saw completely through, but leave a strip of fibers that will serve as a hinge. Decide exactly where you want the tree to fall. Try to direct the fall so that the tree lands on a rock or log. This will give you a better working height when removing branches. Stand with your legs apart behind the tree with your left shoulder resting against the trunk and look straight ahead along the line of the felling direction. Start by sawing the top cut of the directional notch. Align the saw by aiming with the front handle. The handle on a Jonsered saw is exactly at right angles to the guide bar. Check that your left thumb is gripped around the handle. Run at full throttle and apply the chain diagonally downwards at a minimum 60-degree angle. Saw into about 1/5 of the thickness of the trunk. Saw at a height that allows enough room for the bottom cut. Remain in the same position and saw the bottom cut of the directional notch. Run at full throttle before you apply the saw. Here you can accelerate using your thumb. Aim the bottom cut diagonally upwards towards the innermost part of the top cut. If you look down in the top cut, you will see exactly where both cuts meet. Start by sawing the felling cut by making an insert from the side of the trunk. When making the insert, it is important to start with the bottom of the guide bar to avoid kickback. Now move backwards around the tree. Leave a hinge of even thickness of between 2 and 3 centimeters or 1 to 2 inches, depending on the size of the tree. When you have sawn through a little more than half the felling cut, stop and knock in the wedge or insert the breaking bar before you finish sawing. Put the saw to one side and knock in the wedge. When the tree starts to fall, move a couple of meters diagonally backwards to ensure that you are not struck by the butt end of the log flying up. If the diameter of the tree is less than the length of the guide bar, you can saw the felling cut straight from behind, which is simpler and safer. You will have sawn through a little more than half the felling cut. Stop the knock in the wedge or insert the breaking bar before you finish sawing. We recommend that you do not fell trees with a diameter that is greater than the length of the guide bar if you're a beginner. Here you can see proof that you have done a good job. A perfect hinge.